welcome to Worlds Tonight. Today, we're taking a look at how the group has played out. You're taking a look at shots there of Notre Dame Cathedral. Beautiful. Actually went there earlier in the week, did some sightseeing. And unfortunately for a few more teams, they're going to have to do some sightseeing now. Team Solo Mid knocked out of the tournament, as well as LGD. I'm not going to need the tissues. It was an emotional interview with Dyrus.
What is it about the emotion? CLG winning at Madison Square Garden, super emotional. Now they're gone. TSM, Dyrus retires, super emotional. Now he's out of World. So maybe the emotion, like you don't have to worry about crying when you watch a League of Legends broadcast anymore.
I mean, the problem is every time you face against Imp, he like wants you to. So I mean, that's.
He's gone too, so there's more safety from crying.
I'm sure there's more safety. He's no longer looking for people to cry in the tournament.
Well, let's talk about how and why TSM ended up getting knocked out of the tournament. Jack, you were saying on the caster desk, and something we talked about a lot backstage, how TSM actually had a very good 10 to 20 minute mark. They followed a script, they had a game plan, but then it seems to fall apart. Like, why could they just not get it together?
So luckily, TSM is like the most diagnosed team in the world, because not only do they have so many fans, they also have haters, and they also have a documentary about the team where you get to see the inner workings of them. So there are so many reasons that TSM continued to not succeed. I don't think we have time to go over all of them here.
Would you like a 1 hour special and then we'll move on to the next team? Is that?
Well, we could if you wanted to.
Production, can you?
I'll just say some like kind of jokes I was maybe making before. Wild Turtle kept getting caught out like a lot of different times for just like, I'm gonna take this blue buff while I have no vision. And the day that stops happening, the day he changed his name from Wild Turtle to Turtle. Beyond that as well, I feel like TSM has been able to get rid of all the good parts about Turtle while still suffering the consequences of having a carry who gets spacey some of the time, because he no longer makes the aggressive plays because they're telling him not to use his flash forward, but then he also doesn't use his flash defensively, dying to a Jinx missile without using summoner spells at the end of the day.
Well, the thing is that if you know Wild Turtle, he tells everyone that he believes he's a cat, and cats have 9 lives, and so he's trying every game to prove this to you that he can respawn 8 more times and still play League of Legends. So I think he's just role-playing here.
Well, it's not exactly the most optimal of strategies. I think as a team...
I like more analysis. My analysis.
I think it felt a bit more accurate. But I mean, like, as a team, there was signs of life, and there was, certain moments that were good. I still think putting all your eggs in the Bjergsen basket is no longer viable.
Well, of course
it's not working anymore.
I mean, so here's the problem. Bjergsen's actually really good. And that's what it comes down to. Like, there was the graphic at the very beginning of the match where it's like, Bjergsen is like the #1 damage share of all mid laners at Worlds. Everyone else is 15th of everyone in their role at Worlds. Like, Bjergsen's actually incredibly good. And the problem is the rest of the team is not up to his caliber. So, like, whether you like it or not, Bjergsen is your carry. So, find stronger players, find better coaching, whatever it is. But you have exactly one bright point.
I also don't know what happened to Lustboy. He was potentially the weakest player on
Point blank binding did not connect today. I mean, level 1 face check. Cocoon missed as well. I mean, let's be fair, but
I mean, you're right.
Just difficulties. Similar scenario, similar story maybe for LGD. Although this is just in reference from week 1 to week 2. Game 1, Deficio came out with some very strong words that LGD managed to look worse than in week 1. But then they pick up like 2 surprise wins, and all of a sudden, like, beat Origin, who was topping the group. And look, the last game was a little bit more chaotic.
They got revenge over TSM as well. And that's the thing is, like, I was like, happy and sad to see LGD this tournament. So I was happy that we got to see 1.5 like real LGD games. We saw like their game against Origin felt like LGD as LGD is supposed to be, and about half their game against TSM, the first half felt like LGD being LGD. I'm like, man, this is the team that was at Worlds. This is the God-V that we had as like the #3 player at the entire tournament.
Conspiracy theory, really quick. Flame 2-1.
Okay.
Disagree. I do not think Flame is the reason. Conspiracy theory vanquished.
Really? Come on.
For me. We could go into that. But
Flame got Flame Rise in his very first game at Worlds. He was not exactly the reason they won.
And then 1-2 game.
It was like 1-1-2 when the team had 15 kills. And it's like, all right, man, you're doing it. But aside from that, here's my theory for LGD. I think there's a lot of times like they didn't necessarily get good practice in. It didn't seem like they practiced very much between week 1 and week 2. But one thing that was true of that team, I think, during the regular season that was not true at Worlds was that was a very relaxed team during the regular season. They didn't really seem to care. They were having a lot of fun. They just kind of played, and then they had a bit of an on-switch. But at the end of the day, the expectations weren't super high for them. They knew they'd be able to win, and they just kind of wanted to prove it. But when they won first place in China, everyone expected them to dominate. So the instance they failed the expectations, I feel like it's the first time that team was legitimately disappointed. and they didn't know how to
So was
recover from that.
Everybody predicting this group.
Well,
I mean,
all our fantasy picks just went out the window. It's like Group A, but worse.
Yeah, and I think that theory is backed up by the fact the instance they were mathematically eliminated, LGD came back, and that was the team we expected to see at Worlds.
I think it's a fair statement. 35% of the people in Group D had voted for LGD to be the #1 group from Pick'ems.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Me too.
And
Me too.
It just, well, good luck to
100% of us.
Hey.
We're absolutely.
We're worse than
incorrect
coins
now. I mean,
here on the Worlds Tonight.
No,
Best.
nobody's worse than coins. That's Spawn's sole honor. Stepping away then from LGD, who had a massive disappointment in the tournament, arguably one of the most disappointing international showings from such a highly seeded team, to Origin, who then surprised, go 3-0 last week in, let's be honest, they were contested games.
Sure, absolutely.
They really had to fight for their wins. Today, they pick up a win against TSM, hard fought, very close, and then drop the ball to both LGD and KT. I mean, missed positions, bad play, disrespecting ultimates and globals. It's not what we saw from Origin last week.
I mean, I think, if I remember correctly, both Origin KT games were close, whether last week or this week, if I remember properly.
Yeah.
Like, they were close matches. We actually saw LGD beat LGD, and if that LGD played the entire weekend, and last week as well, they probably would have been a 6-0 team. So,
Yeah.
like, a lot of these games you can almost expect. Like, it almost kind of went according to the script.
Maybe.
But, like, results-wise is
Yeah.
all I'm going to say. Like, results-wise, you can expect this based on the caliber of the teams in this group. But, yeah, Origin looked worse than I kind of would like them to. The fact that they went 1-2 after being 3-0 is definitely a surprise, and that's why I said I'm also partially glad LGD played the way they did, because otherwise there'd be a tiebreak right now. Origin probably would have lost it, and they'd be out. So I'm glad
Tiebreaker would have been
LGD's
great. I would have
Hey,
wanted
look, as a
tiebreaker.
European
Western
Costa,
teams
I
making it to the
love
top 8
tiebreakers.
makes
I
me a
keep
happy
expecting
person.
tiebreakers to happen,
Yeah.
and then somehow the games fall and the groups are just decided accurately. Origin, to me, maybe relaxed a little bit after they beat TSM. You could tell there was a lot of relief after that game, and they were really happy to make it out of groups because, as we heard from Peke
think
in
they
a
lost
feature later in the
focus,
day, I think they lost focus a little bit. And then because they lost back-to-back games, like they had to play back-to-back games on stage, and that's a kiss curse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you win the first one, you're going to carry your momentum through the second one, but if you lose the first one, it's really hard to come back on that second game. And I think they got surprised by LGD and didn't necessarily recover in time for the early game against KT.
Kiss curse, KT was kissed because they had back-to-back
Yay.
games, which they ended up winning. Not only did Nagne get a Zia earlier in the day, which I think should never happen, by the way, managed to take a game off TSM as well. That started their run. Then all of a sudden they surprise Origin. I mean, maybe surprise is a strong word, but they all of a sudden sneak into first. Take the first seed. Korean Overlords are back.
Yep,
Another
sure.
Uh,
first seed. All 3 Korean teams are now qualified for quarterfinals.
I saw a funny thing earlier. Korean teams' records at Worlds this year: 6-0 SKT, 5-1 KT, 4-2 KU. Last year, 6-0 Samsung White, 5-1 and 4-2. It's exactly the same result.
But
21 Korean starters left. The Korean Exodus happened.
No Samsung
fine.
White this year. I've been told on Reddit explicitly, no team is as good as Samsung
Well,
White was
especially
last
when
year.
Imp's already been, kicked out of the tournament. I mean, there's less members on that team
Definitely no
left at Worlds.
Samsung White.
Well,
But
okay.
no, I agree with you. Like, Samsung White is the idea of this total powerhouse that comes in and crushes everyone. And it's obviously too hard to tell, but I'm willing to say SKT has a good chance of proving that later. I'm not going to give them the title yet.
SKT definitely looks like the closest team to that. What I actually like as well, just real quick, is much like back in Group A, there's a team that went 3-0 in the last day and took first place over. Flash Wolves did it, and you saw KT do it here, and that's actually really impressed to me as a team that had a middling first week, 1-2 or 2-1, and then be like, buckled down, got the prep in, we've dialed in onto our teams, and that to me is a sign that they can prep for their further opponents. And once you know who you're going against and you've seen the 6 games they've played so far at the World Championship, you can dial in on their picks, you can adapt in the middle of best of 5, and those are teams that I think have a good chance to go far.
I think it's a great point, especially when you look at KT Rolster. In particular, their draft against Origin with all of the globals. It's actually something that Origin did to Fnatic when they were trying to challenge Fnatic's map play. Fnatic was like, hey, look, we're a better map team. So Origin says, okay, we'll put Shen support. We'll punish you when you make a cross-map play.
Yeah.
Except they got Shen, they got Rek'Sai,
That
and they had
composition
double
was
TPs.
so cool. Like, I freaked out on the caster desk when they were split pushing with their jungler and support.
Oh, yeah.
And had the really strong players in the mid lane. Deficio didn't like it because he didn't think those guys could kill a turret. But I was like, that's not
They
the
have
point,
minions.
dude.
Yeah, who
That's
cares?
not the point. They're using Baron in like the perfect ideal way. When they were designing the new Baron buff, the biggest fear is that teams would 1-3-1 and automatically win that game. And the reason that that didn't end up working is when you 1-3-1, you're too vulnerable because your 3 were too weak and you get initiated on and lose your Baron buff. But they kept the 3 strongest people there and had support and jungler globals. It was like the perfect way to use Baron buff. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, it was, and much to the dismay of European fans and Baguette wielders here in Leduc, because it meant Origin then, of course, took the second seed. So that's gonna, Baguette pen is best pen for the record.
It's great.
So yes, that rounds out the group. I mean, K2 roster first, Origin second. We know that the quarterfinal draw will be happening tomorrow at the end of the Group B games. So do not tune out. We will be finding out who's going to be playing who. But now for tomorrow, it's going to be Fnatic, AHQ, Cloud9, and IG.
Oh, baby.
Cloud9's 3-0. They're actually just behind us on screen if you can see the fans waiting to take photos. Is this going to be another 3-0 team that stumbles on the busy day and
Surely
all of a
there's
sudden
gonna be
surprise
tiebreakers,
happens?
too. So the only way Cloud9 doesn't advance out of groups is if they go 0-4. Because they'd lose 3 games, and there's no way with the current standings of the group that they couldn't at least get a tiebreaker for second place. I feel like they're going to pick up at least 1 win.
Yeah, I don't think
Outside of that, like,
I don't think C9 stumbles that
tomorrow.
hard.
This is why I'm so excited for tomorrow, because
Apple pie.
I really don't know who's going to make it through.
Yeah, but now what about Fnatic? I bumped into Daylor very briefly earlier and said, how the guy's feeling? And Daylor said, look, we think we fixed the problems. I wouldn't say it was, it wasn't scared, it wasn't bravado. Do you think Fnatic's going to bounce back?
I do, because I think their issues were the most fixable. Like, their things like, okay, you're clearly playing overconfident. This is something you can fix in a week, right? Go scrim SKT, get your teeth kicked in a little bit, be like, right, okay, we can't just jump on everyone and be really stupid about this. Like, there's, of course, other 1 and 2 teams in that group. Obviously, they all had mistakes, but that's the easiest to fix, I think.
But I'll say of the 1 and 2 teams, Fnatic had the most winnable games.
Okay.
They had the games late in the stages where if they executed properly, they would win. And that's something IG and AHQ didn't have as many of.
AHQ pulled a late game victory over Fnatic. Westor, Fizz as well, phenomenal performance. And IG, the third of the Chinese teams. We've lost 1 Chinese team. LGD, the first Chinese squad to never or to not make it out of groups. What do you think of these 2 squads and their chances? Because we've touched on the Western teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a good chance. Like, the fact that everyone beat everyone else and Cloud9 got what I would consider kind of fluky wins and people kind of underestimating them. I mean, everyone seriously does have a chance because they all beat each other. The fact that AHQ was able to rely on their AD carry so well. They played a Jinx Tom Kench comp, and Jinx could never die, so congratulations, On got to carry all the games. Like, that's a good thing to have here. And most of the bot lanes that he's up against are not very aggressive either, right? Kid and Kitties are actually kind of fairly weak, and the fact that On can just farm safely against Reckless and Yellowstar, who aren't really known for lane dominance. So, like, that's a player that can continue to carry and bring AHQ up.
Well, we'll find out if they do. Before we end Worlds tonight, before tomorrow.
Worlds tonight.
Jet and Freak.
Yo.
Which are the 2 teams that are going to advance? I'm putting you on the spot. I made predictions last week.
I don't even cast it tomorrow, so I'll just do all the predictions. I think Cloud9's going to go 4-2.
Okay.
I think they're going to beat IG, which is going to knock IG out. And I think Fnatic's going to triumph over AHQ. And if they don't get in from auto-qualifying, they'll win a tiebreaker.
So 2 LCS teams you're thinking make it out. Freak?
Yeah. Pretty much the same situation. C9 drops 1 or 2 games here. Actually, yeah, I'll say that they probably win 1 game. Fnatic, the other team to go through. As far as 3rd, 4th goes, I'll say IG over AHQ.
So my results are also slanted by the fact that I think that gives us the most compelling quarterfinals. Because it would be like 3 Korean teams, 1 LPL, 1 LMS, 2 EU, and 1 NA. It's just like a big mix of awesome.
Okay, so you're just predicting based on what could be awesome.
I think it'll happen,
well,
too.
LCS teams.
There is one final point that North America has gotten 0-3 in the last day every time so far.
Woo. Well,
so C9 could.
We'll see. Apple Pie, Cloud9.
Just keep that going.
No, they have to go 0-4. There's no way they can go 0-3.
They can at least
We
start
will
with
have
3,
to
though.
continue this debate.
Afterwards doesn't matter.
Because Worlds tonight is going to get wrapped up. Tune in tomorrow. We will start earlier than today, 10 a.m. local time. That's 1 a.m. Pacific time. We'll see you tomorrow to wrap up Group B and then the quarterfinal draw. Bye.
Here in our first game of the day, today we find out who from Group D moves on to the quarterfinals. Rohel doing this dragon, 5th dragon, doesn't go. Turtle stole the dragon, and Origin denied.
Jinx. Malphite, just kill Malphite. Take care of the Jinx, take care of the Jinx, take care of the Jinx Cyril. Syndra from behind you, Syndra behind you, Syndra behind you. She's dead. Good job.
And Origin 4-0 already. Alex
highway so beauty.
Big knockup from Dyrus. Arrow gets back under turret, trying to do some damage there. He's still going for now. Dyrus manages to help Bjergsen take him out. Keeps pursuing. The damage on Bjergsen is huge. The slow just avoided. Whoa, Pikagoo with the flash ult. TSM is out of Worlds, and KT secures their spot in the quarterfinals.
But here comes the command protect. Shockwave actually pulls him perfectly away, but he gets hit by the undertow. Amazing, doesn't get the dodge in. Leave it up to the heavens. Just leave it up to the heavens, says him. Soaz breaks off, takes the low road. Niels tries to stay on the high road, and neither are going to work on this one. Nagne Zanya's right in front, but the inhibitor turns down. Can the team give him the attack that's necessary to win this fight? And KT take first place in Group D.
What are they talking about?
I feel a spirit bomb.
They're saying Dyrus, take my energy.
Lift it above your head.
Alright.
Santorin, body slam over the wall, cannot get it. It's actually taken with early smites from both junglers. Santorin didn't even, and that's going to be turtled down immediately. I didn't even see its health bar turn red. Flame going in. That's going to be actually 3 kills. No, 2 kills.
Now it's time to open a new book. Right now, my story ends here.